Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing my first video using pencils, and these are from Faber-Castell, the Polychromos. So this paper that you can see here is Neenah Desert Storm. It's not white, it's a brownish color. So I am first laying a light layer of white on top of my image before I am starting with the real sort of coloring. Okay, but now, maybe you saw it on Instagram, maybe you didn't, but I invested in Polychromos from Faber-Castell. I had been thinking about them really long because everyone knows, or everyone is expecting at least, that coloring with pencils takes a while. And I must admit, that's correct. These cards that I have made and showed on Instagram, I have a few on my blogs. I still have some to share with you that I created without filming because I was first testing out some papers. These took a while and I'm only coloring like one image or so. I'm really showing that image on the card. It's all about that one critter, or yeah. And why? Just also because it takes a long time to color it in. Second, because I really want to feature the pencils. I think it's much easier to create lots of critters and sceneries with Copics or with Zigs or whatever. With pencils for now I am not that great yet. I hope that I will get better, but I really like having that one focal point and keeping the rest really simple in this case. So for this card I am using some Fawn How You Been stamp set and also the How You Been Conversation Heart add-on. And yeah, maybe also a bit of background about the pencils and how I'm coloring. I didn't follow any classes, and I also didn't do that for the images on the other cards that I shared, because I am really impatient. I don't know how it is about you. There are people who explore things first, and I'm so jealous about them. But when I get some new items, even new coloring mediums and stuff like that, I just really want to try them out, and I'm too impatient to look things up, follow classes or anything like that. What I did do was I asked about which papers were recommended. I did that on my Instagram stories. I got a few answers, and I will go over my experience with them, because I bought a few sort of paper packs to do a simple review. Again, not an expert. I'm also, what I'm doing here, maybe that's handy to know. Sorry, I just want to tell you so many things, and I'm not structured, I know. But here I am actually layering. I am doing the same as with the Copics, with the Zigs, with everything that I color with. I have some of these hearts layered from light, then bringing dark into the areas of shadow, then to mid-tone, and then again light. I also started with dark colors sometimes first, because as you saw in the beginning, I sent it out with Ink on 3 Noline coloring detail ink, and I don't want to miss the lines, if you know what I mean. So sometimes if I would layer first the lightest layer on each heart, maybe I cannot see the lines anymore, and then I don't know where I need to add some shadow. So as you can see with this heart, I first added a darker color to line off the edges with the other hearts, and that's how I'm going right now. Okay, But back to the papers. What was often recommended was the hot press from Arches, which is not really cheap, but okay, I bought a pack of 12, so it's a larger pack than just regular paper, so I think I can get a lot out of it. I used it. Yeah, people are talking about grain. So the texture of the paper, that is really important to color in. The more grain you have, the more layers you should be able to add with your pencils. The smoother it is, less layers you will be able to add, and it might be, yeah, not that easy to blend just because you have sort of saturated. It's not the same as with water, of course, but maybe using this term can sort of explain it to all of you. So again, I'm not an expert. So I tried it, and yes, it works. Actually, each paper that I used works. But grain means more layers, means also if you're lazy or efficient or however you want to call it, it means more time to spend to get your image going. That's also actually why my first video with pencils is with Neenah Desert Storm. This one is smooth. Also on the packaging is written that it's good for coloring with pencils. So I thought, why does everybody talk about grain when this smooth paper is saying good for pencils? And the Neenah Desert Storm was also the first paper that I tried out, because it was one that I had lying around, and someone told me that that was also a good kind of paper to use. Yes, so I did. And then the day afterwards I went to the store. So there I bought the Arches. I also looked at the qualities of Arches. So I also bought the private label from that store. It's Schleiper, where I went. Don't know if that store is like all around the world or not, but I went there and I bought the Aquarelle Grain Extra Fine, just to sort of match with the Arches, but having a cheaper alternative. Okay, so I tried that one out. Again, it works. It's also layering because it's not smooth. Yeah. What I also tried was Canson Aquarelle, but this time the cold press. Also grain fine, it says. So yeah, it works as well. I mean, everything just works. You just have to adjust. I realize, like here I'm often doing, when I'm starting with blending, I go in circular motions. Yes, but then for example, the private label that I bought, it worked better with flicking motions to get the blending going. Really strange in my opinion, but maybe it's what it is. So if you were hoping to get to know the perfect paper for coloring with pencils, then I'm going to disappoint you, because in my opinion everything works. Okay, with this Neenah Desert Storm, you have a smooth finish because your paper is smooth. Yes. What is the downside? And it's again with smooth and grain and stuff like that. As soon as I press harder on my pencils to really get that blending sort of perfect, perfect in my standards, I noticed that going over it again with some dark colors is harder. And that's probably because it's smooth and I have saturated it with my pencils. Again, saturated is not the right word, but you know what I mean. So that is something that I need to mention. more layering is easier probably with some grain. But then again, when I'm coloring, personally, I really like having that smooth idea of the color that I'm adding. Maybe it's because I'm used to Copics and Zigs. So I really like the fact that when you're working on a smooth surface, you have that, yeah, your color is just one surface. There is not really those edges and from the grains. You know what I mean? So I really like smooth surfaces to color with my pencils for now. Then also I colored on some black paper, and apparently the only black paper that I have in my house, and I'm not talking about black licorice cardstock from Fawn. I'm not trying that out for now, but probably those would work as well. But currently I only have, trying to pronounce it right, Kadara, I don't know how to pronounce it. After I colored with it, I looked it up because I wanted to add it to my blog post of that one specific card. Apparently it's sketch paper. Before I went to the store, I looked up the difference between sketch paper and sort of pencil paper. Sketch paper is a cheaper variety in those papers, and that can explain the quality of the paper. But then again, the coloring on top of it, it worked fine. I just had to press harder to get a smoother result. But yeah, I think it's clear that everything works. Okay. Unfortunately, maybe because I would prefer having like one paper like I have with my Bristol Smooth. I use that all the time for watercoloring, for zigs, and then I use Neenah for my Copics. It's easy, just one sort of paper. But now I have like 5 sorts of paper at my home at the moment, and yeah, I'm actually not really convinced about specifically one, but my personal preference currently is smoother paper, and then I will just do less layers, I think. What I did here also was, so I have Bristol Smooth, you know that from my previous videos, but what was recommended was Strathmore Bristol Vellum, so not a smooth version, but vellum. There is like a light grain, and while I am recording this video, I still have to test that one out, but I will do that while I'm filming immediately, because I am not doing the same card twice. I mean, it takes a lot of time, and I'm really proud of what I have been creating already with pencils, and I'm really happy that everything worked out. But yeah, otherwise I might have quit the whole pencil idea. Not quitting. But I'm going to try the Bristol Vellum with you. Not that I'm going to do a live or anything, but I will immediately film it and talk about what I think about that. Yeah. I think that's my current state of where I'm at with color pencils and with different kinds of paper. I don't know if this is sort of really clear or satisfying, but I am going to post all the cards on my blog that I have created. Oh yeah, here. Yeah, I'm just jumping from here to there. Here you can see I have blended these hearts so much, and I think so that the paper here is just done having any more pencil on top of it. So here I have difficulties with adding that white again. Yeah, that might be because I am using smooth paper. Just thinking out loud here. But yeah, so the vellum is coming in one of the next videos, and what I was talking about before I switched, I am going to make sure that in these 2 weeks upcoming, all the cards that I have created with all these papers that I mentioned will be on my blog with all the supplies, also a little explanation, but yeah, of course no video because it was still in the testing phase. But I will do that, and if you want to see one of those papers used again, then just yeah, leave a message on my blog, or text me on Instagram, or leave a comment down below here about one of the other cards, and then I will try to incorporate it in one of my future videos, because I really want to show you what works or how I tackle things, if that might help you. Yeah, so ask away, I don't mind that at all. So yeah, here for the hearts, I first actually thought about doing different colors, and I had some purples lying on my desk, and some pinks and some reds, and I started with the coloring and it just was rubbish, so I just started again. So here I am also coloring in an extra heart that I wanted to die cut and maybe lay in front of that jar. But then again, it's no white paper, so maybe it's because of that I didn't like it that much when die cut it. But yeah, just coloring it in. I'm leaving it in a video just for you to see, but actually I'm doing exactly the same as in those hearts, as with the hearts in the jar itself. So I am thinking about whether I am forgetting to mention anything or not. Oh yes, wow, this video is really organized. I'm really sorry. But when you're using papers with grain, so I'm talking about non-smooth papers, then you can also use Gamsol, turpentine, whatever you have on hand. For example, in Belgium I apparently cannot find Gamsol. I can find it on German sites, on sites from the Netherlands, but then again there is difficulties to get it imported, really strange. But then there is another solution, turpentine, which is what I got my hands on. You can help smoothen out your blending using those liquids. Then you just take a paintbrush and you use that one. I did it for a few of my cards that I made without filming them. And these are on my blog, and also with, of course, a supply list on the bottom so that you can see when I used turpentine, when I didn't. But I also think using turpentine or any sort of product to help the blending is really preference, because there are also some images where I didn't use it. For example, there is a card with a Yeti on the black paper, on the sketch paper. I don't think that I used turpentine on that one. But yeah, just so you know, if you have trouble with anything like that, it can also help. Yes, and I think that's like the most I wanted to say to you with my first impressions. Also, I bought the full set of the Polychromos, and it's expensive. I'm not gonna lie about it, but I'm just one of those people that want everything, and if I wouldn't have bought everything, then I could have bought them separately, but wouldn't have any storage. I was thinking about them for a long time, so I saved up some money and I bought it. But definitely you should not have them all if you don't have the budget and you want to get started. But I did, so if you're just wondering, then I have to disappoint if you were hoping to buy a smaller set. I'm also listing the colors that I used down below, just for you to find which numbers I used. It can be helpful if you would really want to buy a smaller set. Maybe they are inside one of the smaller sets as well, and then you can still continue from there. But yeah, so if you have any questions, if you want to see something specific, you just ask me below. I am really approachable. I hope you all know that. I will never think there is a stupid question. There are no stupid questions, only stupid answers. That's something that my parents always said to me. So definitely ask away. If you want to know something else, you also just ask me. I am an open book, as we say in Dutch. So I don't have secrets, I think, or I don't want to have them. So ask away. Yeah, I'm still figuring out how to color, of course. There are people who are really talented with color pencils, and definitely if you want to follow classes, they are also there. I just really wanted to get started with those pencils. I also got a lot of questions on Instagram even before I started with them, because I posted the picture of the box. So just for you guys, I really wanted to get a go with it, and yeah, test. But I think most important is layer, and you have to sharpen your pencil when there isn't a sharp point anymore. That's what I learned from the few videos that I just quickly watched. You need a sharpener. That was really funny, actually. I went to the store and I bought all those paper things, and then I returned home and I started, and after like 10 minutes I realized that I hadn't any sharpener in my apartment. Really. So stupid. I think mine from in my early days, I'm not that old, but it's funny to say. So from my early days, I think it's still at home with my parents, actually. So that was unfortunate. And then I found a really old sharpener somewhere, I don't even remember where, and I was saved. But that was for a few hours really unfortunate. But yeah, so I'm almost done with the coloring, and I talked a lot. Some of you might like it, others will hate me for it, but yeah, just didn't want to tell you a lot. So the coloring is almost done. I am going to heat emboss some of those tiny texts in the hearts that are full, and then I will of course also add this little sentence, and then adhering this panel on top of a card base, and it's all finished. So as I said before, if you have any questions, you can definitely leave them down below and I will answer them as quick as possible. If you just want to comment, you can comment. If you like this card, you can definitely give it a thumbs up. Also, I know that not a lot of people have pencils or don't want to use that, or don't have it at home, or whatever is the case. I really want to show you things that you want to see as well. So let me know down below whether you like seeing more videos with pencils or not, whether it's interesting for you or not. That's really important, because of course I'm making these videos to inspire you, to help you maybe if I can. So it would be ridiculous to show you things that you don't want to see, for example. But yeah, okay, now I'm going to stop talking. I will put on a bit of music until the end of this video, but I first want to thank you all for your time, for your patience, for your interest in this card, in the coloring process, for listening at me for like almost the entire video. I truly appreciate you stopping by and commenting, liking, just watching, whatever you prefer doing. And I'm truly hoping that I will see you next time again. Bye!